Welcome, everyone, to the Titans Time Podcast, your Tennessee Titans podcast for the Pigskin Podcast Network. I'm your host, Tyler Staggs. If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, you might say, hey, where's Tanner at? Doesn't he normally start the podcast off? And you would be correct, but I'm going to be lone wolf in this episode. Tanner's actually come down with a little bit of a stomach bug, just little 24-hour virus. Already talked to him today. He's feeling better, but didn't want to take a chance of coming up here, recording, possibly passing that on to me. And I know, honestly, I had it earlier this week. We have been traveling, and I know how he feels. I wouldn't want to hop in, record either. That's also why you may be thinking, hey, we haven't seen these guys in a little over a week since before the Thursday night football game versus the 49ers. And you'd be right. Earlier this week, like I said, my wife and I and our beautiful daughter were traveling back home from visiting with family. And, before we left from up there, we came down with a little stomach bug, wasn't feeling the best. While we were up there visiting with family, didn't want to take away from that and record a reaction video to it. It was a huge win for the Titans. And now we're on to the Dolphins. The 8-7 Dolphins coming to take on the 10-5 Titans. Man, so much importance to this game. The Dolphins are needing it to continue their hopes of making the playoffs. If the Titans win this game, they clinch the division back-to-back years. And not to mention Ryan Tannehill revenge game. Maybe so. But before we dive into all that, I'm going to tell you how you can support the podcast. Real simple. To start off, go check out our merch, hoodies, t-shirts, phone cases, stickers, all different kinds of stuff. All you have to do is go to titans-time.myshopify.com/collections/all. That'll take you right to everything. If you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, whether it be on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast so you never miss when we upload a new episode. Leave us that 5-star rating. Leave us some comments, questions. We love that interaction. Guys, we need more interaction. We love interacting with our fans, answering your questions, including stuff on the podcast, getting your opinions. If you're watching on YouTube, scroll down. That subscribe button, if it's still red, what are you waiting on? Click it, turn it gray, turn on the post notifications so you never miss when we upload a video, and go down, leave a like on the video. That helps us out a lot, and we truly, truly appreciate it. Share the video with your family, friends, other football fans, Dolphins fans. If you're coming and checking this video out, we hope you like it. And go down in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on this upcoming game. Who we need to watch out for on this Dolphins team. Titans fans, you go down, give us your thoughts, how you think this game's going to turn out. Again, we love that interaction. Another way you can help us out, go find us on social media. Check out our Twitter, @Titans_time, Instagram @Titans Time Podcast, and our Facebook, Titans Time. Now, let's dive into this. As I mentioned, the 8-7 Dolphins are coming to Nashville to take on the 10-5 Tennessee Titans. And the Dolphins, one of the hotter teams in the league right now, believe it or not, started off 1-7 and have completely turned their season around, sitting at 8-7 now. And all they have to do to make the playoffs is win out, get a win against the Titans, and then get a win in the last week of the season. Dolphins fans, I hate to say it, but I'm hoping that we keep that from happening. Not to say that, we wouldn't want y'all to make the playoffs or this or that, but the Titans need this win to get that division title in back-to-back years. And, we can't rely on other teams to beat the Colts for us. So we're just going to handle the business ourselves. And not to mention the race in the AFC right now is just so tight. The Titans could win this game against the Dolphins, and if the Chiefs lose, not only do the Titans win the AFC South, they jump back up to the number 1 seed in the AFC. And then after that, the the Titans' postseason hopes, everything truly lies in their hands because if they can go on and face the Texans and get a win in the last week of the season, the Titans would finish out with the number 1 seed, and the road to the Super Bowl would go through Nashville, which I know all Titans fans would love to see that. But before we dive any more into that, Tanner will get mad at me probably because we need to jump into this injury report. Titans fans, I'm just going to tell you, we actually have nobody that was ruled out on Friday, which is when I'm recording this. And just want to say, hope everyone's been having a Merry Christmas, a Happy Holidays. It's New Year's Eve. I know this video won't be up until after the new year starts, but everyone just be safe out there and have a happy new year. Again, Titans fans, we're hoping we start this one off with a bang and a win against the Dolphins. But looking at this injury report, there are 2 Titans players who are questionable for the game this Sunday, and that's Larrell Murchison with a knee injury. He did not practice today after being a full participant all week long. And then Derek Roberson is questionable with an illness. He did not practice today. A.J. Brown missed Thursday's practice. The Titans did say that they were just keeping him out for precautionary reasons. He was back today, full participant. Taylor Lewan, full participant. Harold Landry, full. Jackrabbit Jenkins, Aaron Brewer, Corey Levin. David Long practiced for the 3rd day in a row. That's big, Titans fans. Could this be the week that we see him finally get back out there? And could this be the week that we see him and Zach Cunningham paired up as our starting middle linebackers? I know a lot of Titans fans have been anxious and ready to see that pair of middle linebackers out there together just wreaking havoc against opposing offenses. Let's hope that can be the case. Of course, on this injury report, the one thing not showing are the guys who are on the sickness/reserve list. But before we get into them, the Dolphins also had 3 players on their injury report, but all of those guys were full participants all week long. Now, jumping back to the Titans, the players who the Titans are still hoping that maybe they can get back for Sunday's game include Domico Autry, Jayon Brown, Bud Dupree, Julio Jones, Buster Skrine, and Kendall Lamb. Now, a couple of these names that stick out to me most of all is definitely Domico Autry, Bud Dupree, and Julio Jones. These are guys who I'm hoping by the time this video is uploaded that we get the news that they have been activated from this sickness list and that they are going to be good to go for Sunday's game. We've seen what can happen when you put AJ back out there with Julio. Now, if you take Julio off, those defenses can start focusing on AJ more, especially with no King Henry in the backfield. And that can make things tough, especially against a really good Dolphins defense. Now, Domico Autry, he's a guy that Titans fans aren't overlooking, but the rest of the league might overlook at his importance for this Titans team. He has 8 sacks on the season. The Titans need him out there to be able to get after Tua. They do. Same with Bud Dupree. We've seen that when he comes back and is out there playing, even if it's not every snap, and even if he's not getting the sacks, he is making things easier for everyone else out there that's rushing the passer. So these are the main guys that I feel like we need back for this game. Jayon Brown, yes, it would be huge if he could come back too, because then we would have 4 middle linebackers that I would feel comfortable putting out there with any matchup of them, whether it be Cunningham and Evans, Cunningham and Brown, Cunningham and Long. You get where I'm going with this. Either way, it would be nice to have him back for this game as well. Now, talked about this Dolphins defense a little bit, said that they were pretty good. Let's just see how good exactly they are. When you look at them going against the pass, as far as passing yards allowed per game, they rank 15th in the league. They're 13th in interceptions and ranked 6th in touchdowns. Now, their rushing defense, they're 7th in yards allowed, 7th in touchdowns, and 18th in yards allowed per attempt. So, this defense, especially against the run, can be a little bit stingy. Now, while they are giving up some pass yards, they're still middle of the pack there in the league. And where they kind of make up for it is if they get you in passing situations, this Dolphins team actually leads the league in sacks with 45. And the Titans this year, well, let's just face it, they've been giving up quite a few sacks on Ryan Tannehill. And one bright spot this week, we do have, as of right now, our full starting offensive line back. We were without a couple of guys against the 49ers because they were on that sickness list. We all know what it is. I'm just not going to say it. And so we see this line coming back to actual full strength, or what should be full strength. Can they keep Ryan Tannehill up? They're going to have their hands full. The Dolphins like to get after the quarterback with several different players. I went and looked at the stats earlier. Maybe a handful of players who are getting after the quarterback and actually sacking the quarterback. Then you have the Dolphins. They have like 2.5 handfuls of guys who have sacks already this season. The most being by Emmanuel Ogaba. I may be saying that name wrong. If you're a longtime follower of the show, you know me and names do not get along whatsoever. But he has 9 sacks on the year. Then you have Jalen Phillips, 8.5 sacks. Then you have the Dolphins safety, Brandon Jones, with 5 sacks. And then Jerome Baker, 4.5 sacks. Now, that's just a couple of guys to name off who are having, a really good year getting after the quarterback. Coming from the safety position, at least 5 sacks. I feel like that's pretty good. The other guys are linebackers and a defensive end. So all these guys, you have 2 that are hovering pretty close to double-digit sacks on the year. That's not that bad. And like I said, the Dolphins spread it out. They have several players that get after the quarterback and can get the sack. Titans are going to have to really focus on making sure they keep Ryan Tannehill upright in this game. Now, let's look at this Dolphins offense a little bit. You have Myles Gaskin, 590 rush yards on the season, 223 receiving yards, and 7 total touchdowns, 3 of which are rushing, 4 receiving touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, Titans fans, we don't want to see him doing that little penguin dance in the end zone. Let's do our best to keep him out of there. 941 receiving yards on the season and 5 receiving touchdowns. I believe he also has a rushing touchdown. Devontae Parker, 457 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. And Mike Gesicki, their big tight end, 707 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. I think I might know who the Titans are going to match up on him. And it just may be the guy who has slowed down Travis Kelce, slowed down George Kittle, and that's going to be Dane Cruikshank. Put him on Gesicki and don't let him make an impact in this game. Now, as I tell my wife, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Let's hope me saying all of this doesn't lead to Gesicki just going off and having a day against Cruikshank. And the Titans are going to have to get after Tua. Not going to say that Tua is the best. I've told several people, in talking football at work, talking to some of my buddies, everything else, I don't know that Tua's completely cut out for the NFL. Yes, he's in there right now. And Dolphins fans, this is no disrespect to him. But starting out, he wasn't doing the best. Now, I know y'all have turned it around a little bit. Y'all have a 7-game win streak going on. I'm going to dive into that a little bit more here in a minute. But I still And I've said this about other quarterbacks, and I've admitted when I was wrong, and they proved me wrong. But he's going to have to prove to me that he can do more. One thing he has to his advantage is he can use his legs and move around, get outside the pocket, extend plays, and make things happen up the field. That's where the Titans have had a little bit of trouble this year when they let quarterbacks get outside the pocket, extend the play, and coverage somehow gets blown downfield. Big plays happen. So the Titans are going to have to make sure that they contain Tua, get after him, but don't let him get to where he can escape the pocket and make things happen down the field. Just contain him. He can run a little bit. Don't let him do that to us. I believe he may have like 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. Going back to the defense, Dolphins have a really good cornerback, and I'm going to say at least a decent other cornerback in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. I look to see Howard more than likely trying to match up with AJ for the entire game. And the Titans, they're going to be looking at that and trying to find ways to move AJ around and get him the ball because, let's face it, folks, AJ coming back was so huge for this offense. He absolutely went off against the 49ers and put the league on back. And you better do something to try and stop me. Because if not, I'm just going to have a day after day after day. Now, let's look at this 7-game win streak that the Dolphins have rattled off after starting 1-7. First game that they won in this win streak, it goes Texans, Ravens, Jets, Panthers, Giants, Jets, Saints. I'm going to say the most notable win out of those 7 wins is definitely that Ravens game because the Ravens were clicking at that time. Lamar was still healthy, and the Dolphins just slowed that Ravens offense down and found a way to pull out the win. As for some of these other teams, look, I made this mistake before this year saying, oh, well, look at who they beat. Those aren't that good of teams. And granted, record-wise, you look at it, these teams may not be that good. But it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. These are still professional athletes. I mean, hell, we've lost to the Texans and the Jets. And the Dolphins have beat the Jets twice. So, we can't overlook this team. This team's coming in hot right now, and we're going to have to try and find a way to slow them down. And honestly, I think this Titans team can do that. You know that this Titans team, they have all this momentum from that Thursday night win. Nissan Stadium's going to be rocking on this Sunday. I can guarantee it. And hey, I just have to brag for a minute. I'm going to get to go down on the field and hold that Tennessee Tough flag, be waving it. I'm not going to have a voice after Sunday. You may not get a reaction video till a couple of days after when I can actually talk more. But that's just kind of breaking down, what this Dolphins team looks like, players we have to watch out for. And yes, I know some of these players are very obvious, but you can't overlook the obvious or you will get burned. I mean, that's just the way that it is. Now, it's time to slide into our first segment of the show, and that's going to be our Best Bets segment presented by DraftKings. If you're like me, you love getting free bets. If you're a betting man, if you use DraftKings, when you see those ways to get free bets pop up there, you're taking advantage of it. Now, this offer from DraftKings may not be for me because I'm not the biggest hockey fan out there, but hockey fans, if you're listening to this podcast for some reason, and if you haven't signed up for DraftKings yet, you're missing out. You need to go sign up because I have an offer for you where you could get some free bets. And if you know anything about hockey, you stand a better chance than I do. It's easy. DraftKings is offering a no-brainer offer that will make you a winner once any shots get past the goalie. New customers can bet just $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores. The NHL got rid of ties in 2005. So you know someone's going to end up getting a score there. They're not going to finish 0-0. Now, if the sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, don't worry about it. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. All you have to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code TPPN, throw down $1 on any NHL game, and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal. That's promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now, again, I don't know much about hockey, so I'm not really going to give any advice, but as they said in that offer right there, the NHL has done away with ties since 2005. So just go put that dollar down if you're a new customer after you use promo code TPPN. I mean, it's that simple. Now, let's hop back to the NFL because that's what Tanner and I know more about. And Tanner, in this best bet segment, let's just say he hasn't been doing too hot. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little bit over 50%, and I'll take it. And even though Tanner's sick and not able to be here, we were talking earlier today, and I asked him, hey, for our best bet segment, can you give me something just so I can put it out there? We can keep this competition going. And he's done that. He said he's going to take Jalen Waddle as an anytime touchdown scorer. And that's the odds on that are plus 150. And his second bet that he's going with, and this is if this player gets to play, if he comes off the sickness list, he has Julio Jones as an anytime touchdown scorer. The odds on that are plus 310. Now, say Julio doesn't get activated from the sickness list, he's not there. Tanner's got another one for you just to cover. And that is A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown scorer. Again, that's if Julio doesn't play. And the odds on that are plus 150. Now, I realize I forgot to give you the general information for this game. The Titans are favored in this game as of Friday night by 3.5 points. And the over and under on total points is 39.5. The two bets that I'm going with for this game, I say, even though the Dolphins defense ranks 7th in yards allowed per game, rushing yards allowed per game, I'm saying Foreman has over 49.5 rushing yards at the odds minus 115. And then I'm going Swaim over 16.5 receiving yards at minus 115. Now, just want to put out there, this is not betting advice. Again, I told you, Tanner hasn't been doing so hot on this segment, and myself, while I may be sitting a little over 50%, I'm still not going to say that I'm a genius and that you should take my betting advice. I don't want to be responsible if your bets don't win. We just look over these games, the Titans games specifically, and tell you games that, or tell you bets that we think look good to us, look intriguing to us, and that we're probably going to put a little bit of money down on. And sometimes you do good, sometimes you don't. Now, we're going to segue away from that. Obviously, Tanner's not here, so there's not going to be a stat chat this week. Again, he wasn't feeling good today. I wasn't going to ask him to, hey, even though you're feeling like shit, why don't you go ahead and get me a little stat chat that I can put out there for all of our fans. I mean, his health comes first and him getting rested up. But, fans, we still want y'all involved, which means it's time to move into our quick hitter segment. And we start that off with our TTP fan takes. And we started off with Jay from Twitter. You can find him at TN underscore Barstool. He gave a score prediction of 27-17 with the Titans winning this game this Sunday. Then Chester Taylor from Twitter. Find him at Trilogy79. Gave a score prediction of 24-17, Titans winning. Bold prediction, Foreman over 90 rushing yards and a touchdown. Now, Chester, normally I'd say you got to go a little bit more bold than that. But after looking at the Dolphins' defensive stats, seeing that they rank 7th in yards allowed per game to running backs, and knowing that the Titans sometimes switch running backs in and out, I will allow that for this week. And then, last but not least, my amazing wife, Carrie. If y'all haven't already, go follow her on Twitter. Let's get her followers up a little bit more too. At CarrieLiz94. She gave a score prediction of 24-20 with the Titans winning. Bold prediction here is that the Dolphins lose a fumble. Foreman has 100 and Tua throws a pick. So 3 different steps there. Honestly, if she would have just said Foreman 150 rushing yards, I'd have gave that to her. But she likes going above and beyond. And hey, that's what we're here for. Go bold or go home. Now, let's move into our keys to the game. I kind of hit on this earlier, but it's going to be very important. Even if it's very obvious, again, sometimes you have to state the obvious. And that's going to be the Tennessee Titans offensive line has to keep Ryan Tannehill upright and give him time. Simple as that. This Dolphins team loves getting after the quarterback. This Titans team, for some reason this year, has loved giving up sacks. And you can't win games like that if your quarterback is constantly under pressure, doesn't have time to make the right reads. That's when mistakes get made. And I'm just going to tell you, should have meant to hit on this earlier. We just had the Music City Bowl a couple of days ago, but when you're watching this, and it was at Nissan Stadium after some rain, and that field looked rough. The grounds crew has their work cut out for them, getting that field ready to go for this Sunday, especially because we have more rain coming. And that could lead to this field being very, very messy, very slick. I know in that bowl game, there were guys sliding all around. And that means your quarterback may need extra time because his receivers may slip on routes. That means your quarterback already may have trouble planting his feet. So let's not let guys get back there after him and make him have to try and throw off his back foot where he may slip. Titans offensive line, just please, let's keep Ryan Tannehill upright this game. Give him time. We've seen what was able to happen last week when he had some time, was able to move around in the pocket a little bit and find AJ down the field. It will work out for us better in the long run, obviously. So that's going to be my key to the game, is keeping Ryan Tannehill upright. And if you want a second key to the game, again, something else I mentioned earlier, the Titans pass rush has to contain Tua. Do not let him get outside the pocket, extend plays. Do not let him be able to run around for 5, 6, 7 seconds, letting his receivers be able to break off their routes, go free, and maybe take a shot down the field. We don't need that to happen. Keep him contained. Don't let another running quarterback just terrorize our defense and hurt us. No. Let's do our job, guys. Vrabel would tell you, we know he can run, right? Just remember that. Now, time to get into my bold prediction and score prediction. And I'm just going to tell you, this one's been a little bit tough because I go back and forth on this. I look at that over and under on points of 39.5, and I think, oh, well, these teams are going to crush, they're going to easily hit the over on that. And then I get to thinking back to the field and how sloppy it is. And man, is this going to be a game where both teams are trying to run more? They're not really trying to push it down the field. You're going to have guys slipping and sliding. What's going on? But I'm going to say that Ryan Tannehill ends up having his revenge game against the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill is going to throw for 300 plus yards and have a total of 3 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 2 passing. And again, that's rough for me to do because I know this field may not be in the best shape. But I just have a little feeling about this. And my score prediction, I'm going to go with the Titans 27, the Dolphins 20. Again, been going back and forth on that because we don't know how this field's going to look. I trust the Titans ground crew to have it ready to go. Hopefully it's not going to be that bad. I mean, hell, a couple weeks ago, we seen the rainy game against the Texans. There were a couple times where guys slipped, but it wasn't as bad. So maybe the field can at least be this game. And everyone, that's going to be all that I have for you on this episode. Hopefully the Titans are able to ring in the new year with a win a second straight division title. Maybe the Chiefs lose. The Titans take back the number 1 seed in the AFC. Again, let us know your thoughts on this game. Go to the comments. Let us know your score predictions. Let us know any bold predictions you might have. If you think I'm crazy, let me know. If you're a Dolphins fan, you didn't like what you heard, you can let me know that too. We can talk about it more. I'm not against talking to opposing teams' fan bases. I want your opinions. Opinions differ for everybody most of the time. So let me hear them. And everyone, again, have a happy new year. Except Dolphins fans this weekend. After that, y'all's happy new year can start. And this has been Titans time. And as always, tighten up.